It's almost like Christmas, you know. You get to open up your presents and see what it's going to turn out. I just hope my bike doesn't have a flat tire. You know, I want it to be able to ride it and use it and have fun on it. And
there was enough separation that we didn't have to flip a coin for it. I mean, the five guys that earned those jobs earned them. I'll say that first. The five guys that are starting clearly deserve to be our five starters right now. Now, I've told them all that doesn't mean that it couldn't change at some point, because I've been in a lot of seasons where the guy's not performing well and another guy, particularly maybe a young guy, is coming on and ends up beating a guy out and playing, you know, starting game 4 or game 5 or something like that. So that could still happen, but at this point I feel very confident that we got the right five on the field. Are there 2 or 3 other guys that are close enough that I'd feel okay about them in a game and are still making progress? Yeah. What pushed Reese over the top? A couple things. One, he's just, even though he hasn't been with us that long, he's a really smart, confident kid. I feel like I can trust him and rely on him in a big way. I mean, he's, even as a true freshman, even back in the spring, a lot of times when I'm doing discussion type meetings, he's one of the first guys to answer questions. I mean, he just gets it really fast and he's really smart, and obviously that's important in that position. He's not afraid to communicate. The other thing is, for a young guy, he's got you know, good functional strength. Now, he'll obviously get stronger in his next years here in the weight room, but for a young guy, he's got good functional strength. He's a great athlete for a kid his size, and I think he's exactly what we thought he was when we recruited him. As far as Blake's role, right now Blake would be our first guy in the game at any of the 3 inside positions, whether that be center or either guard. He'd probably be the first guy in the game right now. And so I'm spending some time cross-training him, and that's an important role because it takes a special type of person to be able to do more than one thing like that, because he's got to split his practice time. But he's smart enough, conscientious enough, and reliable enough that I feel completely confident in him handling that.
the reason why is because that position, that's where a lot of the balls go. So you don't get it to the best 2 that you got, and nobody's going to play 80 snaps. But the good thing about both of those guys is you'll look up and both of them will be on the field at the same time, and that's going to be good for us, because now you can't match up and say, I'm going to take this one out and do that. So I've been proud of him. You know, again, the playing time for him, his job will be a lot smaller until he proves to us that he can handle more and more and more. But you know, it's like anything else. He better prove himself on special teams. He better prove himself when he does get his number called, that he can make those type of plays and do the things that we need him to do. And I think he will. You know, the kid works really hard. You know, he's so competitive that he gets down on himself and you have to bring him back. And that's going to be his winner. You can't let one play beat you twice. And once he figures that out, and some people's like take a little longer, but I tell you, hopefully by midway through this season, he'll be a guy that you can't keep off the field, because you want to put a guy out there that's going to make plays in space. And he brings that type of ability to the table.
Trey works hard. He's smart, tough. You know, he probably had more carries than anyone during fall camp, because we need to see what he could do. So again, we're still short a running back, but he gives us an added dimension, because last year we had 2.5. Mario, Mike, and I count Ontario as a half. So now we have 2, because I'm counting Trey as a half and Ontario as a half, tailback, and Mike. So, but we had Cam last year, so it remains to be seen who will take up the slack for him. But we feel very confident in Trey, and he may be returning kicks, he may be wildcat, he may be doing a lot of different things, because he's smart enough to learn the offense, and he's done a great job.
These kids are getting told how great they are, and they having to pick from 50 to 100 schools, and I don't envy them, because when they come in here, the expectation level is out the roof, and yet still they got to come to the SEC and play football, which is probably the toughest league in the country, and probably at the toughest position in the country to come in and play. So, you have to do a great job of bringing them along, still realizing that they're 17, 18-year-olds trying to play a man's game in a man's conference.
We call it de-recruiting them. So we have to de-recruit the players once they get here, and everyone does, because for so long it's just about them. It's I, me, and it is a selfish decision that they have to make, because essentially they make the best decision for them and their families. But that's the only thing that's selfish about it. Now it's incumbent upon us to make them good teammates, and some are more challenging than others, but we get it done. So we have to de-recruit those boys. Yeah, I'm sure you can talk to a couple of freshmen and find out the ones that have been de-recruited the most. Some of those were pretty flashy on signing day. You know, like, okay, he hears it all the time. Nick who? He hears it all the time. So